In this video, you will get an overview of how you can plan and put your plans into action in an effective and flexible way. One of the most important requirements for achieving your goals is that they're precisely defined. In other words, SMART. A SMART goal is specific. Are you getting to the point in terms of describing your idea? Measurable. How do you ensure that your idea has been implemented successfully? Accepted. Do all participants agree with the idea? Realistic. Can your idea be implemented under the existing conditions? Scheduled. When should your idea be implemented? Of course, setting the right goals and designing the process are important factors. But let's imagine that we've come up with a great idea and want to get right to the implementation. To prevent mistakes during implementation, we should invest a lot of time in optimizing our execution plan. We create schedules and define specific roles and duties. As a next step, we start to build the features down to their smallest details. After all, we want the final result to be perfect. That sounds great, doesn't it? This traditional model for product development is based on the so-called waterfall principle, which probably works well in a stable environment. Then again, in a dynamic environment, this approach is very likely to give us a lot of trouble. For example, if after months of hard work you present the target group with the final product, only to realize that the idea itself was great, but wasn't suitable to your target group. The first attempt usually never results in a satisfying solution. That's why we need a SMART process through which we figure out what will lead to the desired results before we run out of time, enthusiasm, or money. Mistakes are inevitable, but the later they occur, the more negatively they affect us. This mindset can be described as lean, which means we test our idea with as little resources as possible to see if the idea actually works. In a nutshell, this is called a lean startup. In situations with many obvious and less obvious uncertainties, as they occur when starting a new business, usually there is little to no access to accurate data. So the primary goal is to learn as quickly and action-oriented as possible. It makes no sense to execute a plan accurately and to make sure to stay within a specified time frame and budget if you're not sure whether you're working on the right goal. Figuratively speaking, you have to decide whether you want to fly a spaceship or drive a car. Flying a spaceship means that you need a lot of preparation and effort before you can even fly it the first meter. The slightest mistake can lead to a failing mission. A slight inaccuracy at the beginning can cause you to miss your goal, as in destination, by far. In this case, the implications of an unclear goal or destination are obvious. Driving a car works differently. You're given constant and direct feedback. The journey itself surely is more complicated and takes more effort as you constantly have to react or decide on new situations. But at the same time, it's easier to keep an overview and change your direction or even the goal or destination itself. In summary, lean management follows two main principles. Eliminate waste, for example, through overproduction, employment overcapacity, or loss of efficiency due to frequently changing tasks. Continue to learn, which is based on the assumption that in an uncertain environment, many conditions and decisions rest on untested theories. In a lean process, you try to make decisions based on learnings or facts. So you need to determine the following. Is your solution actually addressing the problem? Are you working with the right target group? Are you reaching enough customers? You don't know? Test it. Ask experts. Conduct interviews. Collect user data. Build prototypes or run some experiments. In this context, you'll often hear the term Agile. While the lean method tackles the need to make manufacturing and sales processes more efficient, Agile management aims to make the working environment more person-centered. Despite their different origins, lean in car manufacturing and Agile in software development, The two approaches pursue similar goals: a change of attitude when it comes to the role of the individual in everyday work processes, and the elimination of bureaucratic obstacles. At the same time, Lean and Agile are by no means synonyms, as Lean puts the main focus on process efficiency by simplification and standardization, while Agile focuses on products and making the processes as flexible as possible. The latter is achieved by shortening development cycles, so-called sprints, and iterate as often as necessary. During this process, planning takes place within the time span of one sprint, meaning 1 to 2 weeks. For each temporary version, we gather feedback from all relevant stakeholders, which then set the basis for the next iteration. Instead of using as many requirements as possible within one iteration, in Agile product development, we use one iteration to test only as many features as necessary to learn about the crucial aspects of our product. Ideally, we iterate our way to the final product that completely meets the customer's requirements, incurring minimal costs and time. The foundation for Agile development was laid by Kent Beck and a group of programmers with the Agile Manifesto in 2001. They defined 4 main principles. First, people and their exchange of ideas are more important than processes and tools. Second, cooperation with the customer is more important than contract negotiations. Third, ability to responding to changes is more important than following a plan. And fourth, functional prototypes are more important than excessive documentation. Scrum is a standardized method that has evolved from the Agile approach. Originally used exclusively for software development, Scrum is now used in a variety of application fields. The main factors of Scrum are its 2 important roles in a team: the Scrum Master and the Product Owner. The Scrum Master ensures that the team follows the process, while the Product Owner ensures that the product fulfills customer requirements. Surely, the development process is divided into sprints. Daily short meetings, so-called daily stand-ups, ensure a high level of transparency in the team, where everyone should know what each team member is doing. When it comes to Agile methods, trust, individual initiative, the willingness to share information or resources, and self-reflection are crucial factors. Only then a team will be able to agree and focus on common goals and communicate regularly. Also, in order to implement Agile methods, there must be the willingness to change and a deep understanding of customer needs. Therefore, factors such as empathy, the ability to deal with uncertainties and mistakes also play an important role when applying Agile methods. In case you're not sure whether to follow a Lean versus Agile approach, just remember the old saying, structure follows strategy. If your main criteria are saving resources, costs, or efficiency, Lean management most certainly is a good choice for you. Then again, if you prefer more flexibility and may need to adapt to your target group to understand their needs, it would be more suitable to use an Agile method. Simplifying things by a Lean or Agile approach in one place may raise complexities in other places. Imagine you just started building a startup. To test your business model and make progress as quickly as possible, you decide to use a Lean approach. You decide to run several tests at the same time. While running the 3rd test on how to design your product to make it as appealing as possible, you implement additional technical features on the basis of test results 2 for a 4th test trial. For each trial, you create several prototypes. That sounds like a lot of multitasking. So if we take a look at the situation 2 weeks later, without structural help, you will most likely have lost track somewhere between the conception of prototype 2 in test trial 3 and prototype 3 in test trial 4. This could be even more the case when you're constantly combining results from former prototypes with suggestions from ongoing interviews to supplement your working process. One method that is used as a standard in lean or agile processes is the Kanban method. Considering all agile methods, the Kanban method is the most widely used one outside of the IT industry, mainly because it is as simple as it is effective. All the tasks of the team are written down on cards and put up on a pinboard. By doing so, the Kanban method sets limits as for how many tasks the team can work on simultaneously. So if you want to take on a new task, you may first have to discard or finalize another one. According to Kanban protagonist David J. Anderson, the Kanban is much more than just a pinboard with cards. It helps you and your team to continuously improve the joint work and team results. Your lesson learned. First of all, ask yourself the following. Do you have SMART goals? In an uncertain environment, as is often the case when it comes to innovations, you should try to make mistakes as early as possible and thereby saving resources. One way to achieve that are lean processes. If you find yourself in a highly dynamic environment in which you may want to adapt to changing circumstances, you choose an agile approach. Include enough room and time for feedback on intermediate results. Assign the right roles in your team to ensure keeping up the fast and effective process for a longer period of time. Not every team is able to work well using the agile approach, but if it does, the reward is a quick and efficient achievement of the goal. Dividing up the stages and goals might make it harder to keep a clear overview of the working process. This is where the Kanban method might be the solution. It allows you to keep track of former, current, and future prototypes and sub-goals.